Welcome to Underhaven. This program is intended for mature audiences and may contain material that is not suitable for everyone, including violence, coarse language, and unfiltered opinions. We do not endorse the views of those that we report on. Enjoy the show.
Oh, hell yeah! You already know what it is! You already know what it is. Hell yeah, we're here. A bit later than I was expecting to go live. I was hoping to go live about 30 minutes earlier than this, but it's okay, it's okay. There was some very interesting stuff and things going on Mango's stream, and I think that she's still streaming for a bit, but I was not going to delay this stream for a third time. And there's a lot of shit that we got to get to. And I know that she'll be wrapping it up soon, so people will come in as they come in. And, there were definitely, like, some people already waiting, so I didn't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. And, yeah, there's actually some additional stuff, and not just the stuff that we're going to be talking about in the title, because I believe it was Rizla that pointed it out to me. Oh, no, it was Blue pointed it out to me. Wow. If you start exactly the 1 hour mark, so we're gonna probably take a look at Von Helton's latest. I'm gonna give you guys an update on the whole Shanny monetization thing. Jason got completely fucking cucked by Sam in a debate, and it's only about an hour long, so we'll probably go through the entire thing. I have a very long time today to get shit done. I'm pretty much gonna be able to chill with you guys until I go out and take my doggo for a walk, which could be like, you know, probably like 3.5 hours from now. So I don't know if I'll stream for that long, but I am currently dog sitting. So I will need to take care of the doggos occasionally. I might walk off just to take care of the dogs, but other than that, you guys have me for quite a while here, and I will greet everybody real quick. I will greet everybody who I've seen in the chat. We got Sammy here. We got Rizla. Nice to see you. We got Blue. Pleasure to fucking see you. We got Mr. Unite. Always nice to see you as well. We got Shao here. We got the Sha of Thirst. Oh, we're going to be talking about you, Sha, a little bit later. We got Trav here. We got Copper Lining. Pleasure to fucking see you. We have the great Gertrude Perkins. We have Suki with the good coochie. We have frickin' who the caught a drop a deuce? Wait, what? Scientist Sam cheated? How'd he cheat? That's literally just fucking shit. That's shit in a bucket. That's fucking amazing. I don't see how he cheated. Did he cheat by completely decimating them? Because I don't even necessarily agree with like Sam on his stance on the Israel-Palestine shit. I really actually have some massive disagreements with him, but like Shanny and Jason, they didn't put up a fucking argument. Like every time that there was an argument made, Jason folded, or all that Shanny did was she would fucking virtue signal, and they never had any actual arguments. And when Sam was like, okay, back up this example that you're given, Shanny would just be like, oh no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to lower myself to actually researching to back up my claims, which is a crazy ass thing to admit. But, he cheated by knowing more and being smarter. Yeah, I guess you're right. What are we supposed to do with you anyhow? What do you mean? Well, I don't know. Jesus fucking I don't know what you mean by that. I'm sure it was in response to something I said earlier. But how am I living that Helton life? Gee, I resent that. I resent that remark. Jesus fucking Christ. Good Lord. All right. Well, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I know. I forgot you two don't like each other. Yeah, I know. I remember you two don't like each other now. Yeah, that's why it's funny that I accidentally confused you for each other. I apologize on both your behalf for that. But let's get into some Vaughn, shall we? This is thanks to Blue. Thanks. Regardless of what you guys think about Blue, uh, he provided this timestamp for us. He said to check out at exactly the 1 hour mark on Vaughn's latest. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. And apparently, he claims that all the Abrahamic religions are tied to Rome, which is pretty easily debunked. But let's see what he has to say, just to see how fucking insanely he says it.
Enlightened. They're starting to realize that ancient Rome has played everybody for a fool, which they have, because there would be no monotheistic religions today if it weren't for ancient Rome. Ancient Rome created Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. It created all three of them. And then it pit them against one another so that while they're busy fighting each other, they would leave Rome the fuck alone. And it worked for a long time till the Visigoths came across the hill. Then it's like, oops, we forgot a few. It's like, oh shit. And then of course everything went to shit after that, right? Yeah.
Acting like everything hasn't just perpetually been going to shit is pretty. I don't know. I expected to have an old boomer like this to act like there's always been this idealized time in human society that never existed. So he's going to try and draw all these weird correlations because it's fucking Von Helton and he's an old boomer. So combine that together and you get some pretty fucking whimsical delusions.
And then we've got this little ditty right here, which is interesting.
This little ditty.
Let's bring that up, shall we? Oh, yeah, we're going to bring that up because we can and because we should.
Vaughn breaks your historian heart every time he tries to sound smart. Yeah, look, I have a very passionate interest in analyzing history. Some parts of history I know better than others. But yeah, when I hear him say some of this shit that I know is just verifiably false, it really does. It hurts, but it's also easy to make fun of, so it does my job for me. Is it Anna or Anna? It's the double N's. It's the double N's. That's how it is. Thank you for asking.
All right, read it with me, class. The Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agentur of the Illuminati between the political Zionists, that's the Jews, and the leaders of the Islamic world. The war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arabic world, and political Zionism, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. Mutually destroy each other. What's the term they use today? Mutual destruction. So
it's mutually assured destruction, you fucking dumbass.
What's he referring to? He's literally referring to a nuclear war without even realizing it. Now we didn't have nuclear weapons back in his day, I don't think.
I hate that. Like, he doesn't even use the fucking term right. And he's drawing fucking conclusions based on something said by someone who wasn't even around when that fucking happened. Like, this is why it's hard to analyze people like Von Helton sometimes, because they just stack so much fucking bullshit in one sentence. I don't even know where to fucking begin.
I don't think we had him back in his day. But the thing of it is, though, that's what mutually assured destruction is. Isn't that what they say? Yeah, mutually assured destruction. Okay, so he's literally calling for a nuclear war without even realizing it. And isn't that exactly what they're trying to do right now with Iran? Yeah.
What's up, J-Mag? Good to see you.
You noticed that Russia sent an envoy over to Iran real fast, didn't you? As soon as Israel started a bunch of shit, what did Russia do? They sent an envoy over to Iran like right now, man. I mean, boogie speed, Why?
What the fuck do you mean, why? Russia's always looking for little opportunities to try and fuck with, the United States' dominance over the global sphere. They're always looking for an opportunity to do that shit. If they see some instability in a part of the world, they're going to be like, hey, do you want to be buddies with us? We also hate America and their allies, so be buddies with us. And sometimes that works out, sometimes that doesn't work out. More times than not, it doesn't work out.
Because they don't want Iran to fall into the trap of starting World War III from this fucker right here, Albert motherfucking Pike. I mean,
people have been speculating about World War III ever since the Second World War happened to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, this is not anything unique. There'll be thousands of people who, probably millions of fucking people at this point. You know how many people go around claiming, oh, World War III is going to be any minute now? People have been doing that for years, and so many fucking countless people have been doing that for years, and it hasn't happened. Just because it might happen someday does not mean all those people were right. If they were fucking 50 years off, I don't think that they meant it was going to be in 50 years from now. I hate this shit. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. There are some things that we can learn from historical people, but this sort of shit ain't it.
Read it for yourself. He said there had to be 3 world wars to appease who? To appease who? Moloch and Hubal, who are the real gods of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. That fucker right there said it in his damn book. 3 wars.
Yeah, the end is near. Yep, it's been going on for that long. It's been going on for that fucking long. And it's going to keep on chugging until things actually do end, which hopefully they don't. But we'll have to wait and see. We've been going this long, haven't we? People are just so fucking doomerism about everything nowadays, and I kind of get it, but I feel like there's actually some hope to be had recently. Even in regards to, like, politics here in this fucking country, like, for the first time in a while, I'm seeing some people actually be fucking hopeful about the future. So we'll have to wait and fucking see what happens, but yeah, someone like Vaughn, he's always going to be miserable because misery loves fucking company. And that's why he's best buds with people like Sam, and not Sam the scientist, but, you know, the other guy, the annoying Sam. And, you know, J-Dubs, one of the most miserable fucking insufferable pieces of shit on the entire internet.
I keep telling you guys, man. Y'all act like I'm crazy or something. I'm not crazy. I'm telling you what these fuckers say. And then amazingly, it comes to pass. Wow, imagine that. You know why it comes to pass? Because the fuckers have all the money. They have all the money. They have all the control. They have all of everything, and so they do whatever the fuck they want. They just move us around like.
In Vaughn's case, I think the end is nay makes much more sense, if you get what I'm saying.
Chess pieces on a board. You need to get serious, man, about finding out what the hell's going on around you. You know, Ivanka Trump on her Instagram page, she shows a picture of her in it's a black and white picture for some crazy reason, of her in a.
Well, here's the thing. Every historical moment is just a way that Vaughn uses to essentially fuel his own bullshit conspiracies that he's already landed to the conclusion of. He's just trying to retrofit all of actual history to try and fit that narrative, but it'll never work. Obviously. What's up? And it's nice to see you, by the way, Toriyama. It's always good to fucking see you. We got Jeffrey Spicioli. This is very recent, I believe. This is his latest morning coffee, August 18th, so a couple days ago. Yeah, that's pretty damn recent.
A posh restaurant, I'm told. Some bistro or something. And her laptop is closed.
Come on into Von Helton's Bestiality Bistro.
And it's on the table. And then her or someone else drops a card on top of the laptop with an owl and a full moon on it. Well, gee, where have we seen the symbol of an owl and a full moon? Oh, these guys right here.
Hello, Jason.
These
Agua
guys
Cakes.
right here.
Agua Cakes.
The Bohemian Club. Now, the moon isn't there for some reason in this one. I don't know why. I guess they omitted it for whatever reason. But it should be right there.
All right, he's done talking about the fucking Roman shit, so I think we're gonna move on. I don't know what Queen has to do with any of this shit, but that's a joke, by the way. All right, we're gonna move on to something else. So yeah, let's take a look at some other shit here. Damn, it's good to see some people in the chat. It's good to damn, we got 35 beautiful people in here. Jesus fucking Christ. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate you guys chilling with us. We got some other stuff that I want to talk about. Uh, yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that the elephant in the room, which is that Sam the Scientist thing, but that's long. That's long, and I'm probably actually gonna go through the entire thing, so I'm gonna try and play some other shit first. But let's look at some more Vaughn, since we have people here who clearly are interested in talking about and watching Vaughn. So let's take a look at the 6-minute Vaughn clip. This was uploaded in 2019, but it's clearly older. But this is from Nats and the Pizza, who is probably the person who provides the most Von Helton shit that I watch. And I don't want that to go unnoticed. Go subscribe to Nats. Nats does great work. Von Helton is a terrible piece of shit, and he's very boring sometimes. And Nats is the only person, other than Fat Photog, who I feel like very consistently delivers entertaining content with Vaughn. So, shout out to both of them. But right now, we're watching a Nats. So go check out Nats if you haven't.
Even an atheist will tell you that this world is comprised of energy. All right? Even an atheist will tell you that. All right? So you're not getting away.
Right.
You're not getting away from me. All right. Now, as the type of pagan that I am an energy manipulator. That's what I do. I manipulate energy towards the good things, obviously, because I'm a white lighter. But here's the point.
Like what, horse vagina?
Right. The point is that this whole universe, this whole world, everything around us is energy. All right. And if we tap into that energy and we tap into it correctly, we can actually make things occur.
This is just like a knockoff version of the Force.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm not quite that good yet, or I'd be a millionaire right now, right? Because I know that's what you're going to say. Well, why aren't you a millionaire if you're that good? No, it don't work that way. Okay, it don't work that way. But the point is that, you know, these energies that are...
And I apologize, this audio is kind of cheeks, but I'm sure that's just how it was originally.
out there, if you tap into that at the right time, you can make shit happen. You can. You can. A lot of times it's pot luck, though. I knew this guy that claimed he knew 3 words to invoke a demon, right? And I'm like, yeah, right. You're so full of shit. You know how young kids are, right? We were young kids at the time. And I'm like, yeah, right. You're so full of shit. And I said, if you really know 3 words to invoke a demon, come out to the house and do it in front of me and all my friends, you know.
Oh, Mango wrapped up. Awesome. I'll have to check out. I don't know what the last thing she looked at was. I'll have to check it out a little bit later. But yeah, that's Mango. Done. All right. Thank you to the beautiful people coming on over. I'm sure she has sent some of you lovely people on over, and I do appreciate that. Just in time for us to get to the good shit later. But good to see you. Good to see you, Ashley. Nice to see you. Holla Falla. Is that how I say your name? Or is it Hola Fola? Like, you know what I mean? Like, man, honestly, I shouldn't ask. I'm not gonna remember. I'm just gonna keep it a $1.50. I suck at remembering how to pronounce names. I remember your usernames. I remember your profile pictures. I remember you guys. Like I know you guys. I can't remember how to pronounce anyone's name half the time. We got Cyber Witch here. We got friggin' Sydney here. Nice to see you. We got Tank Girl. Hell yeah. Pleasure to see you. Either way is fine. Okay. Sweet. That's awesome. Damn, okay. Wow, that's awesome. That makes me like your name even more.
And I had a shitload of friends at the house. This guy does it.
Hey, what's up, Sam? Nice to see you. We're gonna be going over that conversation that you had pretty soon. So you might want to stick around for that, but we're gonna be going into this shithead for a little bit longer. Mrs. Mudduck, pleasure to fucking see you. We got Sherry, we got Mr. Fear. We got, Jesus Christ, a fuck ton of people. Nice to see you all. I already said hi to you, Suki, but always good to see you as well. Sometimes I accidentally click on someone's message and I feel weird when I take it down. But yeah, it's usually just because I just misclicked by accident.
This shit, I did it up.
You want to join in for that? Sure, I can shoot you the link later. Yeah. We probably won't be on this for too long. I can shoot you the link when we talk about that.
Right. I had Super Czar playing on the turntable, and I had the candles. I had Motley Crue's.
Thank you very much, Mango. I appreciate you sending over the people. Well, we'll continue on with this. I will try not to interrupt anymore. If anyone new comes in, I'll say hi to you guys after this video.
Pentagram on the ground with candles at each point. You know, I did it up right? This guy said those 3 words, man, and oh my God, all kinds of hell broke loose in that room, man. And the room was full of skeptics, not just me, but it was full of skeptics as well. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And these 2 beady red eyes started forming in the corner of the room, and it's like, oh shit, what do I do now?
You know, that's the reason why you said skeptic, is because that was back when skeptic was really popular. It was when these hangouts were being done. That's almost certainly, yeah. I forgot about that. Man, that used to be a really common word for, I don't even know what you'd really call, like, I guess atheists, but not really just atheists. Like, being a skeptic was more of a particular type of thing. But but yeah, damn, that throws me back to when skeptic was a really popular word.
The only thing I knew at the time to do was to grab a Bible and try to say the Lord's Prayer, you know. So I grabbed the Bible and I'm sitting there frantically trying to find the Lord's Prayer. Couldn't find the damn thing. Dropped the book. The book automatically opens to the Lord's Prayer. I read the Lord's Prayer and the demon went down through the pentagram and was gone.
If he actually lived this experience, then why the fuck would he turn himself away from Christianity or whatever denomination he was at the fucking time of Christianity? You know what I mean? I don't know the full history of Vaughn's religion, but I assume that he wasn't a fucking pagan when he was that fucking little. But yeah, if he genuinely had an experience like that, why the fuck does he have his fucking gouge now? It doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
And as this was witnessed by all kinds of skeptics that were there, and myself and him.
Skeptics.
You know? But he said, oh yeah, I know 3 words to invoke a demon. Never ever challenge somebody when they say that shit. I learned the hard way. Don't challenge somebody when they say that shit. But you know how kids are. Oh, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They ain't no such, you know. I used to be a Ghostbuster years ago.
Of course, we could go this place and maybe you could enlighten me.
We didn't have all that fancy electronic shit that they got on TV, but yeah, I used to be a real Ghostbuster. Well, that's all the, I'm going to check the EVP noises now. And I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, dude. All right, whatever. Yeah, the ghost shows on TV, total bullshit. If them motherfuckers on TV saw real ghosts, they would shit their pants. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. That not one of them.
Him calling other people paranormal grifters is just absolutely fucking absurd. At least those people, like, actually, yeah, they're probably doing even more harm than Vaughn, because there are some people who watch those shows and genuinely believe it. But at the same time, they still have people who are actually fucking watching. But I guess when I really think about it, ultimately that is for the worse. But still, that Vaughn is still more pathetic, but those people are doing more harm in a weird way.
Fools have seen a real ghost, not one. But no, I mean, what is it? What's one of them shows? Ghost? It's not Ghostbusters. It's
Ghost Stories. Ghost
Stories. Thank you, Ghost Stories. And then there's like 2 or 3 other shows where they're out there ghost hunting, and they got all this electronic equipment going off, and they got cameras set up, and they got all this stuff, and they got all this fancy electronic shit that they got to take 2 or 3 hours to set all this electronic shit up, and then they still don't get an actual form on film. Bullshit. I call bullshit. Sorry. Back in the day, we didn't have all this fancy electronic shit that they got on TV, and we did just fine. We found the ghost, and we would either, tell the person, hey, call a priest, get it evicted, or whatever. But I didn't need any of that fancy shit. I just went in there, so and if there was something there, it was there, and if it wasn't, it wasn't.
This fucking type of story really does shoot him in the foot when he's trying to go around and say that he has these interactions with this pantheon of gods that apparently didn't exist beforehand. But when he was a little kid, he had an experience where a fucking deity intervened. You know what I mean? Like the capital G God, not his fucking, fucking shitty ass pantheon of gods. Evict the ghost. Jesus fucking Christ. Stop the stupidity. Nice to see you. We got Werewolf King here. We got Toby Mickle. Nice to see you, bud.
And I just, it's like, well, I didn't find anything. Sorry. Or I did find something. And I would tell them, hey, you need to get a priest, or somebody spiritual, and, if you're pagan, and get that shit taken care of, right?
50 cents.
My last Google AdSense statement was 50 cents, bro. I can show it to you. I can show it to you. It's 50 cents.
How many views did you get?
I average anywhere from 300.
Wait. That doesn't make any sense. Look, maybe it was different back then. This was a long time ago, granted. But there's like a threshold that you have to have. I should know. I have an AdSense account. There's like a threshold you have to get of like $100. I think it's like $100 a month in order to get a payout. So you wouldn't get a payout at all of 50 cents unless it was different back then. Maybe someone who had a channel back then can let me know. But I don't know. It smells like bullshit to me. It's also Vaughn, so I'm not going to trust him as far as I can throw him. And he's pretty damn fucking... Well, he ain't big, but he's big.
100 to 1,000 views per video, which in YouTube terms is nothing.
Well, Vaughn, later on, if you want me to, I can hook you up with a couple things that I...
That's Brett Keane, isn't it? That sounds like Brett Keane. Like, I know... Look, Nats alters the voices just out of respect to anyone who's on panel, because, like, the focus is on Vaughn. But, like, the cadence of that person talking, that's Brett Keane. I think that's Brett Keane.
that I feel will accommodate you properly.
And no one else talks like that. No one else ends their fucking words like that. I don't know how else to put it. I've heard enough of that fucking jackass. It is Brett Keane. All right, good. I thought I was going crazy there for a minute.
Yeah, because I'm not being accommodated properly, apparently. Yeah.
Yeah, 50 fucking for 3,000 views and shit on a video. There's something wrong there.
It's not even paying for the freaking electricity you use to keep your computer on. Like, it's not even that. Not even that is being covered.
No, it's not. You're right. It's not. You know, and I've had people come to me and say, "Hey, man, you know, I only get, you know, I only got like 300 subscribers, and I'm getting $200, you know, every time in my PayPal." And I'm like, how the fuck are these people doing it? I'm only getting 50 cents, you know?
Maybe
so
actually
there must
being
be,
likable.
you know, there must be something going on.
I mean, look, I don't believe a story to begin with, but AdSense alone, like, I'm sorry, I should say not AdSense, but actual ads on YouTube don't make you jack shit. You have to get super chats and shit like that. Back then they didn't have memberships, but I know they had super chats at least. I'm pretty sure.
Because it seems like I'm getting gypped. It really does. Because
that's not something you should say. That's not something you should say. For those who aren't familiar with that, I know a lot of people don't know the origins of that phrase. It ain't too good of a thing to say.
You know, I've had people come to me and they're like, "Well, Vaughn, you know, I don't have near the subs you do, and I don't have near the views you do, but I'm getting to one of my now haters that used to not be a hater. Oh, what's her name? I can't think of her damn name. And
can't even fucking think of it, old man. He also said because of child support garnishment, he got paychecks for only $3.25, which is why he quit working. Law says only a certain percentage can be taken. Lied again. Yeah, exactly. Him lying about his finances is like a very consistent thing. He lies a lot in general, but the thing he lies about the most, I've noticed, is number one, his family, number two, his finances, and those things are often very intertwined.
Anyway, you know, she's like, yeah, man, you know, I'm only pulling down X amount of views on my vids, but I'm getting like $200 in my PayPal. I'm like, there's no fucking way you're getting no $200 in your pay. And then she showed me her fucking PayPal. It's like, holy fuck, man, what the hell happened to me? How's come I'm only getting 50 cents? What if it turns out that I've been defrauded out of my money for all these fucking years? Oh boy.
If anything, it's the other way around. Jesus fucking Christ. What's up, Josette? Nice to fucking see you. We got J. Troy Doe here. Always nice to fucking see you both. Hell yeah. Good to fucking see you. Good to see you. So I don't know if we got something short here. We got something real short here before we get into the Sam thing. This is actually from Sha. I don't know if Sha's in the chat right now, but this is something that Sha uploaded. And I wanted to share it real fast. Because it's a good clip of Jason being a big old fucking baby. Even he's like a 40-year-old man-child. He just turned 40 yesterday, and nothing certifies it quite like this clip. So let's take a look.
It's my fucking birthday, for one thing, tomorrow. I deserve to get something. You are a fucking moron. It's my fucking birthday tomorrow, and I deserve something because I've gone through a lot of shit and I've lost everything almost.
Sure, Jan.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that I don't know, that speaks for itself. Go check out Sha's channel. I'm just gonna let that speak for itself, and I'm gonna say go check out Sha's channel. Yeah, because Sha does fun streams. Sha puts up videos which are just there's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean that as a compliment. Go check out Sha's channel. That's the best endorsement I can give. It's worth checking out. We have almost 60 beautiful people watching this shit right now. Please do consider dropping a like if you like this shit. It'd be much appreciated. And actually, do I have something else? I don't think oh my god, this is long as shit. Yeah, no, we aren't talking about this. Apparently Shanny's been bitching about the moon again. She's been talking about how it's weird. I didn't watch that stream. If anyone in the chat wants to try and like give the skinny on what happened there, I'm curious about what happened there. Is she going back to that fucking shit where she was saying the moon is a hologram? Inquiring minds want to know. But there's a couple things I want to talk about real fast before we get into that. And this is actually tied to that because in this very same chat right here, you can see that they got their fucking first super chat. I don't know if this is their first super chat ever, but I'm pretty sure it is. Oh shit, let's celebrate their first super chat on live stream. Okay, there we go. All I had to do was read down a little bit. But yeah, that is actually their very first super chat. And the same time that she did this poll, is the moon weird? 30% of people just fucking indulging her insanity. And 71% of people being actually honest. The moon is not weird. It's pretty actually fucking straightforward. But yeah. So I want to clarify this because Mango actually did clarify this a little bit in her stream. But you can actually accept super chats and memberships. You can get monetized before everything is certified with like the documentation actually get your payout. So just because they actually got monetized and they're getting super chats does not mean that they're gonna get away with this. Their account will still likely be terminated in the end when the YouTube catches on to what's going on here, unless they use someone else's ID, which they shouldn't be using. People have been speculating that they could use one of the kids' IDs, but you know, those kids are out of the picture now, and I don't think the youngest one is old enough for that to be done. So they're out of options. So likely all this money that's being sent to them is going to be pocketed by YouTube, and they will not end up getting it. I don't think that YouTube offers refunds when it comes to that type of shit. If a YouTube channel gets terminated, I've never heard of anyone getting refunds. So yeah, if you're sending in money to these two, it's funny to say because that might actually encourage people to send in more money just to get their attention with the super chats, and then have the peace of mind of knowing it's not actually going to pay out. Well, don't count on that though, because they could always get one payout, you know, before things go awry. But who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I also want to show this too, by the way. I originally thought this was Jason. But no, this is actually G-Man, who subscribed to our buddy Sha of Thirst, who's in the chat right now. Likely because of that Teddy stream that Sha did recently. I have to assume it boils down to that. But yeah, it's pretty fucking interesting that not only have I gotten an endorsement from Jason recently, but a not so subtle endorsement from G-Man of Sha. That's pretty fucking weird. But yeah, I want to talk about those two things real fast. And is there anything else I should talk about before we get to the Sam thing? Oh yeah, the naked and laughing shit. So yeah, I don't think Jessica is gonna show up because the time frame was supposed to be yesterday in which that plane ticket was supposed to be up. And you know, people were speculating in Mango's chat if that was just like a troll conspiracy theory, but there was like a lot of verifiable truth that there's a lot of verifiable facts that, you know, suggest that was true. You know what I mean? Like Cope saw it himself. Now, you know, if they had still been together, I would speculate maybe they were like in on some type of long con or something like that. But I don't know. Cope seems to be genuinely done with her, so I'm willing to believe and take his word at that. And there were other people who, you know, who supplemented the idea that it actually was something that existed. So at the end of the day, it just seems like Nick and Laughing is probably not going to show up to Cobes' place. He just did a video recently. Let me actually bring that up just so you guys can see it with your own fucking face. We're not going to watch this shit because it's just him trying some fucking mead. But let me bring that up real fast and then we'll get to the Sam thing. 14 hours ago he did this. That was yesterday. So yeah, I feel like we would have gotten an update from somewhere, something. Like there's no way that if Jessica showed up then things would have gone entirely fucking silent. And we have gotten an update of Cobes within that 24-hour period. So yeah, it seems like she probably did have the ticket and she just didn't show up. That's my speculation at this point. The rumor is she changed the date. I have been hearing people say that. But I've not heard anyone provide any evidence to actually back that up. But at the same time, I'm willing to entertain the possibility. At this point in time, though, it seems unlikely. I was already on the skeptical side of thinking that she was actually going to try and show up and do something. I heard some compelling arguments people making that she was likely going to show up, and I started to believe that more so. But I don't know. After this, I'm going to have to see it to believe it. I'm just kind of at that point where I'm just going to have to see it to believe it. I hope that makes sense to you guys. We got 66 beautiful people right now. I really do appreciate that. Why don't you guys execute order 66 on the fucking like button? It'd be much appreciated. And yeah, with that, I think we should get into the fucking Scientist Sam conversation. This is going to be a doozy. I was going to breeze through this, but Sam's going to be here and I want him to be able to explain himself in a place where he doesn't have to, like, when you actually have a live conversation with a cow, I understand how it is. You have to talk a little bit different than you were if you were just going to, like, talk about them after the fact. So we'll allow Sam to give his real thoughts. Look, I want to make this clear before we get into this. I don't agree with all of fucking Sam's points when it comes to the Israel-Palestine conversation, but I do feel like he offers a very moderate opinion that's at least worth hearing out. So yeah, if you guys don't want to hear that point of view, you're entitled to hop off. I totally understand. And even if you don't want to hear the topic right now, I understand it's a heavy topic. But yeah, this was an interesting conversation that Shanny and Rev had with Sam. So I'm going to invite him here to talk it over with me. But yeah, let me shoot him a link real fast, and then I'll get this shit up. Where the fuck are you? I have so many DMs. There we go. All right, I sent him the link. He's welcome to. Have you seen their Amazon wishlist? Yeah, I was considering going over that. I know Nova and BGTV did like a comprehensive view of that shit, and they talked about it in detail.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? But we might go over the Amazon wish list at some point, but for now, we're just going to go over this conversation. But yeah, thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. You just happened to catch me on a lull from when I was doing some food prep, so I might do some dishes in a little second. But I'm just grabbing some water, chilling out.
It's all good, man. Just chime in whenever you feel the need. I will.
Yeah. Also, like, part of it is like I can't. People are like, why didn't you go in there and just call her a fat like Sal? And I'm like, because that gets my wrench taken away, and
that would have also been 5 minutes. Yeah, that would have been 5 minutes.
It's like if you want, like, obviously these are two people that just like refuse to better themselves. They're the types of people that I wish that we could screen out of getting welfare benefits. If people want my honest thoughts on them, right? Like there's either you get evaluated for a legitimate disability, but if you just sit around and leech off of, other people's goodwills, I think that is like a pretty pathetic way to live.
Yeah, I feel like these two are like almost like a living straw man, because most people don't want to think that people like this exist, but they do. Not in huge number, but there are people like this, and Shanny and Jason just happen to be the type of people that record everything, so we get to see a lot of their fucking bullshit. But
and at this point, and I will make this clear because I think that a lot of people like overplay this point. At this point, I don't care about the kids because they don't have custody anymore. All the damage is done. The state is taking care of it. Mission accomplished for those that really care. If you really care about children, please like consider donating to things like UNICEF. To their St. Jude's is known as a reputable charity. Like, action is much better at a large scale. Advocate for good child care policies, but like, don't just keep going on about Shanny and Rev, because like that's pretty much case closed in my opinion.
No, exactly. Like this shit's dead and buried. Like we don't have to fucking worry about that shit anymore. The only thing that these two are worth at this point is having a fucking cheap laugh at. And
exactly. Yeah.
And that's, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's basically what, you know, what this all was. It seemed like it was just you setting them up to look like idiots, which is pretty fucking clear that that's what happened. And it was.
This is true.
Yeah.
Also, prime mover is not correct. I don't think Rev doesn't have a crush. He's just such a beta male that anyone who's remotely masculine in the room, he's gonna glom onto.
Thank you for the $5, by the way. And yeah, you're right. Yeah, because you speak with confidence, right? And he doesn't know how to react with that. Like when you actually put some opposition to the idea that he already has in his head, he doesn't know how to cope with that. So he's just like, "Oh wow, yeah, damn." He doesn't.
And actually, like I could argue his case better than he could.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, you definitely fucking could. Ophelia's been giving you a lot of love, saying that you did really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, like it was just literally like I had to be writing in another window because I'm like, is this fat bitch trying to get personal right now? Like,
yeah. But it's just like I said to you, man. Like all Jason did was bend the fuck over, and all Shanny had was a bunch of virtue signaling throughout this entire conversation. That's all they had.
Yeah, I mean, it's because all of their information on this is Instagram or Hassan Piker, which are two terrible sources of fucking information.
Yeah, especially when neither one of them back up what they actually believe with real sources.
Not at all.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I heard it on Instagram. What a great argument. Can you show me the example? Well, no, I'm not going to lower myself to do that. Like, okay. Well, but we'll get into it, though. We could talk about it forever, but let's just get into it.
Yeah, I'll lead it, brother. All right, and we are live. Welcome to a special edition of the Rev and Shanny Show live. This is a serious topic. We're usually an entertainment channel, but for today, we're doing something special for my birthday. So we're going to be talking about Gaza. And I think the best way to open this up, Sam, because you're a brilliant guy, I want to tell you who this is. This is Scientist Sam. He was a member of the great debate community back in the day, G+, which is gone. Sam, is there anybody still around? I don't think so.
That goes to show how fucked his brain is when he tries to introduce you like, hey, this guy was on Google Plus back in the day. Like,
it's also that, and it's like, dude, like I appreciate that people compliment me, but like honestly, the Glaze Fest isn't necessary, right? Like I am like it's legitimate to say that in my area of precise expertise during my PhD, I am legitimately a world expert on a certain type of phenomenon, right? It's a very narrow area, but in terms of that types of stuff, and then you can expand it outward, right? I'm legitimately an expert. History's not that area, right? Like there's a very obscure area of virology that I am, probably in the top 10 or 20 in the world knowing, but it's very obscure. Like it has nothing to do with history. It has nothing to do with what I talk about online. Like,
yeah, no.
Like I appreciate the compliments, but like guys, like have some perspective. I don't take myself that seriously.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that suck Sam Schlong, but that's just the way of it. You know what I mean? Like I said, Dick, you speak with confidence, and people like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not like believe me, like these people take me more seriously than I take myself. Like, I want to make that clear.
I'm sure of it. Yeah.
Is there?
I mean, scattered off to pieces, all kind of doing their own thing. I would say. Still, some people I talk to, some people. We've all gone different directions. I'm certainly not as online as I used to be. So I think that's the general sentiment.
Gotcha. Well, that's a great answer. You're great to interview. Okay, so I think the best way to open this...
Already slobbing your knob, and he's not even 1 minute into interviewing you. I didn't even know this was supposed to be a quote-unquote interview, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where people think, like, this is going to butter me up, but it's kind of like, I don't really fucking care. to be honest. Like, it's flattering. I'm very flattered, but it's also like, man, like I feel like people build me up just because like they've never interacted with someone with a PhD. There are like a lot of dipshits with PhDs. Like, I happen to be reasonably well read in a few areas, but like, for fuck's sake, like Norman Finkelstein has a PhD, and that dude makes an ass out of himself on the subject that he got his PhD on. So it's like, you don't have to take, like, doesn't make us royalty, just means that like we're experts in what we're experts at.
It certainly ain't a fucking ticket to intelligence, that's for sure.
This up is to give your position fully. I want you to take the floor. You got the floor. We're not going to say nothing, and you just give us your position on the whole situation.
Well, I guess to start with, what aspect of the situation? Because like this is, I think we have to recognize that the, you know, most modern accountings of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict go back to 1880, or in the 1880s, I should say, right, from the original Zionist movement. So I guess it's hard to, you know, I can tell you what my position is on the current conflict, but I don't know that that's going to be very informative.
Okay, well, let's put it this way. Let's give us your position on Zionism and what it means to you, like specific.
Shanny looks like she's fucking sleeping, by the way. Her glasses are drooped down.
Did you notice that the whole stream that she just like was blatantly not paying attention to anything I said? Like, I have a very moderate position. Like, I would say it's kind of like moderate Israeli left. I would say that my position is, right? It's not a crazy position. It is nuanced, right? But like, I think that if you have a straightaway take on this, like they do, like some of the crazy pro-Israelis do, you're just very wrong-headed. Like, you're talking about a conflict. Like, how could it not be complicated when it's a conflict that has its roots? I think the original starting of the conflict in terms of violence is like 1920s, right?
I would say it's arguably the most complicated geopolitical situation of our time.
I wouldn't even say argue. I would say like straightforwardly, right?
Fair.
Because
that's fair.
Because the backdrop is also like the Saudi Arabia, Iran, Sunni Shia, fucking Middle Eastern Cold War, right?
Yeah, there's so
that's
much
the backdrop.
To it.
Yeah, and that doesn't even get mentioned half the time.
Yep.
Specifically, and then broader if you want to do that.
Well, I mean, I think I'd take kind of the mainstream definition of Zionism, which is that Zionism is the idea that the Jewish people should have a nation where they are free to exist from threat of persecution and genocide in some cases, right?
Yes.
And I kind of take the traditional Zionist movement, not a lot of kind of the mainstream Israeli right-wing Zionism, which is to say that the original Zionist movement was largely secular. It wasn't based around Judaism. It was really just based around the idea of protecting the Jewish people. I think that the events since October 7th and the incredible amount of anti-Semitism has actually really strengthened a lot of my thoughts around it. I used to be much more iffy, but definitely seeing...
Look at him nodding his head, just being like, yep, yeah, wow. That's the entire fucking stream. That's all Jason does. And that's the point I was trying to make to you when we were talking about this, is he doesn't offer a single... I mean, well, that's not true. That's not entirely true. He tries. He very fucking narrowly tries at some point to offer a refutation of what you have to say, but it's a piss poor one that immediately gets rebuked.
How much just like Western hatred of Jews there is. I'm definitely pretty convinced. And also just some of the education about the Arab world that I've had since that time. It was more cursory. Now I've kind of looked into a lot more stuff.
Okay, interesting. Shanny, do you have anything to add?
Well, I do have a question. Don't you think the Palestinians have the right to live the same way as Jewish people is, without persecution or genocide or anything like that?
Well, so we're probably going to disagree on this. I don't think the current conflict is a genocide. I don't think there's a lot of evidence for that claim. And then the other thing should be is, yeah, I agree. There should be two states.
Did you see that? Jason gets really uncomfortable, but he doesn't say anything. Doesn't have a fucking thing to say about it, though. That's pretty fucking weird to me.
Yeah, there were like it's very strange because like the other thing that I would say is like it's not the number of like this came up in the chat. They're like, how else do you explain 40,000 people dead? I'm like, it's not the number of people dead, right? What was it? 23 million Germans died in World War II. Like, I don't think that was a fucking Russians, excuse me. I don't think that was a genocide, right? Like, when you look at it, right, it's about the intent, right? I don't think that there's an intent to annihilate the Palestinian people, but I do think that there's an almost criminal negligence in terms of like casualties. But I wouldn't, other than specific instances of war crimes, I don't know if that would qualify as anything beyond that, right? Like I think that most countries are guilty of at least some war crimes when they're at war.
Well, I'll say this much. I think the conversation has definitely been muddied a lot by people having very extreme arguments and not necessarily doing the research to make their arguments from number one, a point of view where you're actually trying to have an actual good faith argument, but also an informed one, even just marginally informed about the topic that you're having a conversation about. Like, there is a reason why this is a highly debated topic, particularly the genocide thing. Like,
yeah, so I was looking this up last night, and they did a poll among Middle East researchers, and it was something like not even a majority could agree to whether it was a genocide. And I think the biggest plurality view was that this is a genocidal conflict, followed by it's not a genocidal conflict. And then I think if you were to take the plurality, most people were kind of saying like, oh, like this is genocide, like this isn't genocidal, but there is indifference towards life, which is my position, right? So I try to like follow scholarship to a reasonable degree, but obviously like I am very open to like there being an explanation as to like why it's a genocide, but like it's controversial, like even among scholars.
No, and I understand that, because to a lot of people, it's a word that shouldn't be easily thrown around. You know what I mean? Especially,
I mean, I think it shouldn't be, right, because of what it refers to.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very specific thing. And yeah, I've definitely seen, I've definitely seen a lot of questionable shit, but yeah, I don't know if it quantifies the actual definition of genocide, but it's definitely a conversation that should be engaged with and had. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think like for the part of Jews, and I'll kind of like, I don't want to speak for us, right? There's a lot of diversity, but I think that we can't hide behind like Holocaust stuff. I think that we do have to engage with it, honestly.
No, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's a very responsible position to take, honestly. Like, you should always be open-minded to criticism of groups even which you yourself are a part of, and that goes for.
So Esben says Israeli politicians constantly express their genocidal intent. I would need evidence of that. Most of those have been taken. Most of those quotes have been taken out of context. The most common one is Benjamin Netanyahu saying, "Remember what Amalek did to you," and that quote actually occurs like it's any time that there have been devastations against the Jews. So you actually see that in Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem. I've been there. I've seen it. It says, "Remember what Amalek did to you," referring to the Nazis. And no one would argue that like there's an ongoing genocide against Germans from Jews.
No, exactly. Like it was an undeniable fact.
Yeah, I mean, has Netanyahu been grossly negligent in his prosecution of the war? Yeah, I mean, even one of his ministers without portfolio, Benny Gantz, who's part of the opposition, who's an ex-IDF chief of staff, basically was like, "You don't have any fucking clue," so he resigned.
Yeah, the problem is that it seems like there doesn't seem to be a huge movement against against this within Israel itself. Like I definitely know there's people.
That's not true.
I definitely know there's people who are against it, but I mean, like I would hope that it'd be a higher majority than it is. Not to discredit those people, like standing up for what they believe in. That's fucking great. But it's just considering the actions that the government has taken, I would wish that there would be like an easier fucking future in which these people could be voted out of office. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but they need to hold an election, right?
Yeah, that's true.
People, and I can anticipate these people are going to mention Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, because of course they did. And I'll remind you that, like, yeah, I think if Ben-Gvir and Smotrich had any power over military conduct, there would likely be a genocide. They don't have any power over it, though. It's not their ministerial positions. And even Smotrich, who I think is unhinged, has been misquoted in the indictments by South Africa. So, again, like, these are not good people. These are people who are not good for, Israel's future, in my opinion. But, like, just be honest about it.
Ultimately, I feel like a lot of people are getting caught up in definitions when it comes to this, and I understand why, because it's a very important definition to have. But yeah, at the same time, I do think that a lot of people are just really closed-minded having the conversation at all, and we saw that with these two dunderheads in particular. Like they're like a living straw man, not just when it comes to the conversation that we were saying earlier about like welfare and all that shit, but they're like a living
just
straw
their
man.
Existence.
Yeah,
just their existence, right?
Right, yeah. But let's continue.
But I also think that part of that has to entail that the Palestinians get out of their own way, and particularly the Palestinian leadership. At early 2000, the early 2000s, Ehud Barak, the Israeli prime minister, basically gave the Palestinians more than what they asked for. And
That's
Yasser
true.
Yasser Arafat basically said, "No, fuck you," and allowed the second Intifada to happen, which significantly
Goth, Jabba, and meth head. Jesus.
Like we can't downplay how much that radicalized the Israelis.
Oh yeah, you're absolutely correct, man. This is really good discussion so far.
It's not a discussion. It's not a discussion. What? It's just been Sam explaining his position to you, and you're like, "Wow, that's crazy."
That's not a discussion. There are people who argue about those negotiations, right? They're called the Clinton parameters. There are arguments to be had there, right? But he doesn't make any. Like, he doesn't know.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, they don't have anything to supplement like what they are actually fucking claiming.
My question to you would be, how do you explain the excessive bombing and the way the IDF has been acting? I call it excessive force, Sam. And that's why I do believe that genocide is happening, because the Israeli government is using such force against these people that don't even have an army. So how would you answer?
Well, first off, I think that's categorically false. At the time of the conflict, Hamas had 24 battalions. Were you aware of that?
But they don't have tanks and stuff, Sam. Am I correct? Like,
I don't know if they have tanks. I don't know their exact. But like, these are clearly not. This is clearly a militarized group, largely funded by Iran, which I think
I would agree.
I don't know if you guys would agree or disagree, but
I agree on that.
Is like, well, I mean, that's
what a surprise. Jason agreed.
Factual, right? Like we have factual evidence that they're funded by Iran. But Iran, I would say, is like a force for evil in that region. Largely,
I agree. What you want
I disagree. Iran isn't doing anything, but
look at that face he made. You see that shit?
Yeah, you can just tell that he is gonna like he knows that it's not debatable that Hamas is an Iran proxy, right? Like, this is just known.
Yeah, even fucking he admitted it, and he was taking the position against you. Look at this shit. Yeah, only the fucking biggest idiots on the planet actually defend Hamas itself. I think most people agree Hamas sucks.
I mean, I would say most, but there is a disturbing amount of people
sure, I agree.
Far left who they will not even condemn October 2nd.
Yeah, it's weird.
Which is ridiculous, right? Like, these are people who, like, it was an incursion into, residential communities, and and as well as like a music festival, right? Like imagine if Mexico invaded Coachella.
I think it's pretty
Right.
alarming that anyone outside the Arab world supports Hamas itself. Like, it's bad enough that it's supported in the Arab world, but at least I can understand that to some extent. But
It's
outside of it-
understandable, right? And I do
Yeah.
get into this that like the truth of the matter is that like a major issue, and I would say the biggest issue, in my opinion, is Arab rejectionism. Like the idea that majority of Arab states do not recognize the legitimacy of the existence of Israel.
Yeah, it's been that way ever since Israel was created, as far as I know. Jesus fucking Christ. She is a literal half-wit. Yeah, she is. All that fucking brain power went to those harms.
I
Wait,
will say
can I
this.
push back on that?
Wait. I'm answering. Do you find it appropriate that the IDF put a fellow Palestinian man who was just a merchant and put it on top of their tank
Humvee thing, yeah.
and rode around with it? Do you think that's appropriate?
I'm not here to excuse war crimes. I think that there's a key thing here, right? I think that if you can name me a war that was prosecuted without war crimes, I'm open to that. But I don't think war crimes make a genocide. So I want to say two things here. So circling back to Iran.
Your face get more purple? Oh my god, yeah. She's turning purple like a grape, dude. This is some Willy Wonka shit right here.
Iran did drone strike Israel. Iran has funded missiles. Iran has funded Hezbollah, which is attacked. And people can just look this up, right? Hezbollah and Hamas, their biggest funder is Iran. We know
it's a fact. You're right, Sam.
For 100%. Yeah. But to answer the question that Jason brought up, I'm actually going to throw it back to you. What is the proper civilian? So do you know what the current estimate is for the civilian or actually reversing that, combatant to civilian ratio?
No, I don't. But I could tell you that
it's about 2.5, between 2.5 and 3. And I'm not using the IDF's numbers.
Oh, you're doing math. You can't understand.
By the way, I'm going. Yeah, the IDF says it's 1 to 1. Do you know what it was?
Sorry, what were you saying?
The IDF says, and John Spencer, who's a war expert, says it's 1 to 1. I don't believe that. But I think it's the highest that I've seen is like 2.4 civilians to combatants. That's like the highest.
Yeah, on this particular subject, I'm not too informed. So
like for perspective, right? When the U.S. was in Iraq, you compare it to, so it was 1 to 2, right? One, civilian to combatant ratio. So obviously better overall. But if you look at, Mosul, if you look at any of the urban combat, it's much higher than this was.
Oh, okay. I see what you're getting at now.
Because it's what happens is when, like, what ISIS would do, which is what Hamas does, right? And this is the new evolution of terrorist forces, is to embed themselves behind civilians because they want to make the bet that the Western countries or Westernizing countries care more about their own civilians than they do. And this is just well known among Hamas.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's pretty undeniable. That's been a terrorist tactic for a very long time, especially in that area of the world. It's unfortunate, but it is a reality. But yeah, dude, everything that you've been saying here has been going through one ear and out the other when it comes.
Nothing I've said is controversial.
No, it really isn't. Like, I know a lot of people watched this and they were like, I agree with Shanny and Rev on principle, on like the actual argument, but like they're not making a solid argument. Like, you know what I mean? No one who actually watched this actually came out of this thinking that they made a good case for their point of view.
Oh, no, not at all. Of course not. For the U.S. in Mosul.
No, tell me.
1 to 3. So was the U.S.
Okay.
committing a genocide if we're going to go with that?
I see what you're
That
saying,
argument.
but how would you get those numbers of combat? Because Sam, here's the problem. We see in the real media, and I understand that you're going to get your
The real media.
numbers from certain places and stuff, and that's fine. Something that's official. But my problem is
That's a really weird thing to say. I don't want to focus on that too long, but like calling it the real media is
Yeah, anyone who calls social media and Instagram the real media, they do not read.
yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Not to say that there's not people who have something interesting to say on fucking social media, but some people just scroll by and just take anything they see as factual. And that's what Shanny did with an argument that she's going to make to you later. And then she's going to be like, well, I'm not going to go fucking hunting for that. So it clearly didn't mean enough to you if you couldn't even bookmark it. You know what I mean? It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. All right, well, let's continue.
we see the civilians are being decimated, Sam. I mean, it's all over Instagram. It's on. These people are live streaming. This
They're
stuff.
living in rubble, sir. Do you think that's appropriate?
Right.
I mean, I think so. I would put that back. They could end them living in rubble by returning the hostages, right? I don't think it's appropriate, but I think that war is hell, right? Like, we can't forget, right? Hamas went in and...
Do you think Bibi Netanyahu should be held accountable for his war crimes?
I think to the extent that he's responsible, yes.
Good.
I have no problem with saying that there are excesses. I have no problem saying that even Bibi Netanyahu is not the most problematic person in the cabinet, in the Knesset. He is not, right? But the thing remains is, if the Palestinians wanted peace, why are they not giving back the?
They don't have proper leadership. They don't have proper leadership. It was taken away from them.
What was
like? What do you expect? What do you expect a bunch of civilians to do when they're surrounded by tanks? And yes, it is civilians. Don't lie to me.
No, I'm not.
Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me.
So
don't lie to me.
This is a good pause point. She doesn't have any clue what she's talking about. There's a whole political bureau and military arm of Hamas. Like, I think it's, and this is why, like, I kind of hem and haw when people go like, oh, is it a terrorist organization? Well, like, yeah, but like, that's like calling the government I think you get into slippery territory when you call them, like, they use terrorist tactics, but I would not say the government of Iran is a terrorist organization, right? I would say they back terrorism, say they use terrorism, but no, like, they're, for better or for worse, they're a legitimate political entity that controls the Gaza Strip. They have leadership. They have battalions. They have organized, arms. Like, people acting like it's just Israel versus civilians. That's just not the case.
We can continue.
No, they are lies.
That's not.
These people are surrounded by tanks and rubble.
Yeah.
And their tents have been bombed repeatedly. I look at the active reporters who are still on the ground. And see what they report.
That's war crimes. It's straight up. But you're saying if there are war crimes revealed.
I do not think Jason would even be able to tell you the definition of the word war crime. Well, the term, it's not really one word, but you get the idea. I couldn't even define it for you.
You believe that justice should be done, so we have no problem there. You know.
So
do you believe in
another capitulation of Sam?
Ceasefire?
I do if Hamas returns the hostages. So it's important.
That's
to say
reasonable.
There is this is where I'm going to have to push back on Shanny here. That it is a fact that there is a political bureau that runs Hamas. Now,
when is Israel going to return the 12,000 hostages that the IDF has?
You can't cut him off because he's making.
I'm just saying.
Okay, but he's making a point. Let him finish the point, then you can come in.
So we can look at this.
Jesus Christ, he's on your side more than his own wife. How do you feel about that? It's quite something, isn't it?
It's a little gay. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Slightly gay.
Yeah.
Nothing against that, but Jason, if I was a gay man, we all know I could do better. Also, I hate this line that, like, listen, I think that the military court system in the settlements is unhinged, but like those are not hostages. And whenever they've done prisoner for hostage swaps, the Israelis will always care much, like it's just demonstrable they care much more about their hostages because they will swap, thousands more. So look at Gilad Shalit as an example, right? I think I might be misremembering, right? But I think that's when, do you know who Yahya Sinwar is?
No, I'm not familiar with that name.
So he's now the head of Hamas. He was the mastermind behind October 7th. He was in an Israeli prison. You want to guess why? Like, guy's a fucking terrorist.
Terrorism, right? Yeah, I can imagine.
And you want to know the big irony, is that he actually got treated for a fatal brain tumor while he was in Israeli custody, right? So Israel even treats their people better than they do, and it's sad. It's tragic.
Yeah, it seems like the regular civilians are just, suffering on behalf of these two fucking parties. You know what I mean? Like there's a war going on.
Agreed. I want to be clear about this. Like, I am sad for the Palestinian civilians. I have no sympathy for members of Hamas, especially their leadership. Like, they are terrible people.
Yeah, I don't think that's a disagreeable statement to most people, but like Shanny was treating you like I said earlier, like a fucking straw man. Like, just basically, even though you very much gave numerous examples of where you stand on things, that she should be able to deduce it. But no, she just kept arguing with you as if you were a completely different person. And the only one who heard you out was Jason. And he doesn't even bother giving an argument to you, really. He just brings up points. Well, what about this? But, I mean, that's not really an argument. It's really fucking disappointing, honestly. But it was still funny. You know what I mean? Got a few cheap laughs out of this shit. And hopefully some people listen to what you had to say.
This, right? So, like, Hamas is a political organization in addition to being a military and social organization, right? Like,
Sam, so question from me. Do you regard Hamas as a terrorist organization? Because I do.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they're not. Like, you get into a weird point with, are they a state government? There's a lot of arguments there. For simplicity's sake, I will agree with you. They do terrorist things. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So, like, you can look at this. They do have consolidated leadership, right? They had a whole ass political bureau. Now, 2 out of their top 3 commands have been allegedly, and I have to say allegedly, even though I do believe that Mossad assassinated them. So it's Ismail Haniyeh and Mohammed.
Why would he ask that question? It's almost like he's setting himself up for failure on purpose, I feel like. The civilians are not part of it. Hamas is the problem. Yeah, exactly. I think most people will agree with that. Oh my God. Justin. Jesus fucking Christ, man.
Mohammed Daif's one of the guys who was responsible for October 7th. But you can look into this. Yahya Sinwar.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Is the head.
Yeah.
Is the head. So to act as if I agree that, like, yes, civilians are suffering, but how do you respond to the fact that Yahya Sinwar has said that the reason he rejects approaching a ceasefire is because he knows that more Palestinian casualties will lead to a better external image to the world?
That's a great question, Shan. Do you want to respond to that?
I think the Palestinians should not be involved in a war between Hamas and Israel.
The civilians.
But
yeah,
Hamas
they're being put in the middle of them.
Then are you critical?
Well, that's fine. Put something like the Navy SEALs in or the Green Berets.
Oh my God, Shanny.
I mean, like, this is the thing, though. Like, I'm sympathetic, right? Because, like, in theory, I agree, right? I agree. In theory, there should be 0 civilian involvement, right? I think everyone agrees with that.
Yeah, no.
What do you do when Hamas is so deeply embedded that they literally use hospitals and mosques as like fortifications, right? When They build tunnels underneath stuff that they only let Hamas people use, right? When they are that embedded into the civilian population, it's just a recipe for disaster, right? And it's really nice to say that, but it does often seem to me that people who take Shanny's position just want, the Israelis to just kind of sit there and take it. And I just don't think that's a reasonable demand, right? Like, again, I put the hypothetical. What if this happened to the US and, Mexico had, the drug cartels, helicopter into Coachella and kill a bunch of innocent festival goers, right? How would the US react?
I feel like
it's just, there's no reasonable, like, the tragedy of this is there's probably no reasonable way to prosecute this war, in my opinion.
No, I agree. It's just been this thing has been going on for so long. Like earlier on into it, sure, there was a lot more options, but the deeper into this war that things go, there's less feasible options for actual peace. Because this has been going on for a long time. I'm not just talking about the recent conflict that's broken out within the past few years. It's been
I can point to really, in my opinion, and the two turning points, right? It's 1948. The Arab delegation, the Arab Higher Committee, the AHC, fucked up and did not lobby correctly, and then after they didn't lobby the UN correctly. They didn't accept the partition. That was stupid. I think looking back at it, we can say that unequivocally, the Israelis have shown a greater willingness to coexist with Arabs than vice versa. I don't think that's up for dispute. And then the other part of it I think we can all agree, the Israeli, like, if you have any moderate position, the Israelis should not have taken the West Bank and Gaza Strip after the 6-Day War in 1967.
No, that was a terrible decision.
That's a terrible fucking decision. They should have withdrawn the occupation and demanded self-determination for the Palestinians. That would have been the smarter move. Because, right now, it's fucking intractable, right? And Netanyahu's threatening to annex the West Bank, right? And also they're encroaching so much with settlements that it's just making it more and more unworkable.
Yeah, it really does feel like things are just getting more accelerated by each month, and it sucks to see, because I feel like the majority of people and civilians probably do want to see some type of reasonable, resolution of this. But
so this is where I'll push back. I think that right now we're in such a situation where I think that the majority of civilians in the West want a reasonable resolution. I would say the majority of Israelis don't want a two-state solution, and neither do the majority of Palestinians. They both want one-state solutions, and that's the majority, right? Like the Palestinians, they nominally accept the existence of Israel, but in reality, only the Palestinian Authority does. Hamas does not, right? They're a rejectionist party.
Yeah, so functionally, a lot of the people actually calling the shots are...
It's the same as Hezbollah, right? They said, we'll recognize Israel to the extent that it gets us peace and gets us what we want, but we don't think there's an actual entity that exists that is Israel in a legitimate form.
Esben, I feel like Sam has made it clear he doesn't support the illegal settlements.
Yeah, I don't support the settlement enterprise.
All right, yeah. All right, let's continue.
And get rid of them. I know they can do that.
So
why do the civilians have to be bombed?
Oh, there's
why can't you stop what you're doing to let Hamas do their moves and then get them when they're moving instead of hurting the innocent civilians?
That's a great point.
Do you want me to answer that question?
Yeah.
Sure.
So the reason is because actually, compared to traditional incursions, the Israeli choice, using these bunker buster bombs, targeting the tunnels, that actually leads to less in an embedded population, fewer casualties. So you can look at World War II, the U.S.'s campaign.
That's a lie.
In,
But no,
in the
he
Philippines.
might be right,
This-
honey. But here you're still blowing apart
This is not,
their
by the way, guys,
environment.
this is not,
Sam, like,
this is not my
I know
statement.
you like to
So
look at
this
war
is-
in a strategic manner, but I look at war in a different way. I look at war as pointless, and I think it's two old men fighting each other, and it needs to stop. And they're using the young.
What a weird black and white way to look at it. I think that's how people tend to feel this way about certain things, where they're just uninformed and they just take a stance on it because they just see it as a black and white thing.
I mean, like, she asks a strategic question and then goes, why are you giving a strategic response?
Yeah.
Right? Like, the question is strategic. Why are they using these bombs? Well, it turns out that and again, I'm basing this off of urban warfare experts, chiefly like John Spencer, who teaches urban warfare at West Point, right? So he might know a thing or two. Is that this leads to fewer casualties than like the brutal like firefights that happen when you do these types of tunnel incursions, right? A tunnel is essentially a choke point, right? Where numbers and strength don't matter. And so you're going to just end up fucking everything up. And people are saying like, oh, this is like Russia and Ukraine. No, this conflict is nothing like Russia and Ukraine because the Israelis do not want to claim Gaza. There's many, many reasons why they would not want to claim Gaza. Also, Ukraine did not provoke Russia.
In my
Right,
opinion,
like-
I feel like the Russia-Ukraine conflict is pretty clear-cut about what's going on.
It's very clear cut. There's very little ambiguity. There's a lot of ambiguity in the Israel-Palestine ongoing.
Agreed. I agree with that 100%.
Like they're just completely different apples and oranges. And
Yep, but
people
people
who
like
try
to
to
make
map
things
them
small.
onto each other, they're just completely wrong. The modes of warfare are extremely different. The motives of the two parties are extremely different. I do think there's an expansionist element in the Israeli parliament, but in practicality, right? I don't think they'll ever annex the Gaza Strip just simply out of the fact that they would then have to deal with, millions of Palestinians that now have a vote, right? That's the chief reason why they didn't annex the West Bank yet.
All right, let's continue.
Men to kill the old men. Okay, the IDF has 12,000 Palestinians who are not part of Hamas in their jails right now, and they're being abused completely. I'm sorry. I'm not going to agree with the state of Israel in this current affairs of how they're dealing with things.
okay, now let Sam respond.
So I think
Wow.
that if we're going to attack the tactics of Israel, it's fair to defend that on tactical grounds. Most of my views on the tactics come from John Spencer, who teaches urban warfare at West Point in the U.S.,
Right.
and he's considered the worldwide expert on it. So I don't profess to have certainty. There's been criticisms of them.
Good. He's
Some
an
of the
idiot.
criticisms
Got
I
to
agree
know.
with. He's not, I guarantee you, not an idiot. But
No,
This conversation's way too deep to have it with people who sleep next to the bucket they defecate in.
I
That's
think
all
that
about
comment's a
fun.
win. That comment is a win. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's like literally it's like, lady, you shit into a bucket and you're insulting like the worldwide expert on urban warfare, right? Like, it's just silly. It's really just silly.
No, I agree. It's really fucking hilarious. It's like the whole gimmick of this conversation at the end of the day.
I think everyone who makes warfare are idiots. They're destroying their souls.
What a bold take! Wow, that's
Yeah,
really.
I mean, and this is the issue that, like, ultimately, like, I have zero respect for lefties that exist on fucking, which, by the way, I don't think Shanny's a lefty, but for those types of far lefties who go, well, can't we just solve it peacefully? It's like, no, like, that's not, war doesn't get solved peacefully, right? Like, that's just the reality. And, there's unfortunately, so many reasons why, if someone goes in and they kill 1,200 of your people, 900, 800, or 900 of which are civilians who are completely uninvolved, like, it's gonna, like, we all remember 9/11. Like, people aren't just gonna lay down when that shit happens. It's just a reality, right? So people saying, like, hey, could there be a solution? It's like, yeah. I've always said this. I mean, I think that it's a failure of Palestinian leadership. I think if Palestinian leadership was better faith, more competent, and actually, honest and not as corrupt as they are, I think it would make for a much better outcome for the Palestinian people, right? And I think we have to recenter this on the Palestinian people. That's the most important thing.
Well, I feel like there's just been an unfortunate historical incompatibility with a lot of the values found in the Arab world and those found in the Western world, and these relations were never cultivated naturally to begin with, and that's why it's just, I don't know, it's a pretty irreversible type of situation in a lot of ways, but I don't know. I feel like there's a chance for peaceful resolution in the future, but there needs to be steps taken by the future generations to actually make that peace happen. It's not going to happen in this generation.
I mean, I think Nelson Mandela is the best example, right? He went from being what we would call a terrorist, right, into being, leading peaceful protests. If Hamas behaved like was it the ANC? You'd have to correct me, but in South Africa, I think we're just talking about a wildly different outcome, right? But then again, it requires, like, the Arabs have not dropped 1948. And I don't think that that's going to happen anytime soon. And to some degree, I don't blame them. But to some degree, you got to deal with historical realities, right? Like, the Vietnamese have dropped Vietnam for the most part, right? And they've been pretty prosperous.
Oh, sorry, was responding to someone in the chat real fast. Ukraine was with toughly sprinting ties from the 90s through the 2000s.
I think that they were saying that Ukraine was trying to get away from the Russian sphere of influence and into Western Europe, right? That's been a consistent tension.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's pretty much a big motivating factor for the war that they're in currently.
Yeah, New Mexico, like, I think New Mexico 1912 just joined this. Like, I've been incredibly critical of Netanyahu. I don't. The thing that I hate about this conversation is, like, I'm not defending Netanyahu. I think he's a scumbag. Like, I think he's a corrupt, anti-democratic scumbag. But, like, that's not, like, I don't know why I have to say that, right?
Well, yeah, it's probably because, like, what you just said, like, someone joins immediately and, like, they hear you say one thing and they come to a conclusion about how you feel about this other thing. You know what I mean? Because that's just how volatile the conversations become. I feel like that's probably what it boils down to at the end of the day. But yeah, Sam has made his positions pretty clear here, and I don't agree with everything he has to say, but I mean, I feel like it's at least someone who's
New Mexico is again going down the lefty propaganda sphere, right? Which is saying it's people with no powers. There is no group in the world that receives more aid than the Palestinians, and, like, if you have no power, you should not invade and kill civilians of a more powerful entity. Like, it blows my mind, right? Like, you should, like, in a personal life scenario, you don't punch the biggest guy at the bar, right? Like, I have a lot of criticisms of Israeli foreign policy. One of the things you can't expect, especially in the last 70 years, is that if you attack Israel, they're not going to attack back. It's just ridiculous, right? Like, on just a logical level.
Yeah, I think what pisses off a lot of people is just, like, and this is just, another thing that happens a lot in war, unfortunately, is it's a lot of people paying the price for the shitty actions of a relatively smaller group of people, which is pretty fucked up.
And to New Mexico 1912, you're not the only Jew, you're not the only person who's been to the occupied territories, and you're not the only person with a direct connection to Israel. Like, my cousin is an is an Israeli journalist who was in Jerusalem during October 7th. Believe me, like, you're not unique. That doesn't, like, you being Jewish, me being Jewish, it doesn't lend us any credibility in this conversation. The facts lend credibility.
Yeah, I do agree that, like, when it comes to any conversation, the facts should stand for themselves. Sometimes if, sometimes if you're from a certain group of people, then you are more informed on the subject matter simply because of that, but that doesn't always correlate.
It helps, but it's also like the facts are the facts, right?
Exactly, right, exactly.
Well,
I mean, then would you agree that Hamas are idiots for crossing Israeli borders? Okay, I'm glad we agree. As for the 12,000 Palestinians who are imprisoned, they are not hostages, right? These are actual.
They are hostages.
Prisoners.
They were taken without their consent, without any crimes, and without any due process. They're hostages.
They did receive due process. Now, there's
they did not.
Yes,
they did not get due process. That's not what the Palestinians are saying.
But the Palestinians are like. But again, you are not looking at this situation from what also the Israelis are saying, right?
I'm not going to. I see them as the aggressor.
There it is, right there. Like, she's already drawn her own conclusion on this topic, and nothing that you say is going to change her mind, even if you offer the most fucking moderate, position on it possible. And it's like you said earlier, you could probably argue their position better than they could. And that's the sad fucking thing about it at the end of the day, is like a lot of people are just that fucking uninformed on the topic. And I was someone who, I took a big interest in this because I do think it is the, most complicated geopolitical and, conflict of our time. And by that alone, I felt it was something I should inform myself about, but I'm not informed enough to like have a debate with someone about it. They set themselves up for failure because they're even way less informed on it than I am. At least I know a fucking thing or two. You know what I mean? And I'm also
I would never, like, by the way, I would never enter, like, my knowledge on this conflict is like it's decent. It's better than the average person. But if someone wanted to talk, let's say, in depth about the 1967 war, the Yom Kippur War, or especially Israeli policy in the 80s, I don't know shit about it, right? Like, that is, those are gaps that I would like to shore up, but like, I only have a limited amount of time.
We have a question here from Kyle. Hope missed the start and hope Sam doesn't mind me asking. How does he feel about a two-state solution? Sorry.
I think that right now it's very unrealistic. I'm a big doomer. I think ideally that would be the case, but I think that it requires some stuff. Like, it would require the Israelis to withdraw from the West Bank, which I don't see happening. And then it would require that the Palestinians and surrounding Arab states to accept the legitimacy of Israel as a nation state. And I don't see that happening. So I would love to see it, but I'm pretty doomer-pilled on that one.
No, I get it. Yeah, the things have gotten pretty fucking bad in these past couple of
years. It's just gotten worse, as
exactly.
The settlements expanded, and then also, like, they're just, like, Arab rejectionism seems like it's incredibly entrenched in certain circles. Like, and, as much as, like, the Abraham Accords were a big step forward, I think that they kind of provoked Iran to show their hand, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's continue.
But they aren't, right? Hamas are the people who, like, if you can name me a single conflict in the Israeli-Palestinian war that was started by the Israelis, I will give you money right now.
No, he's right.
He's October 7th. It was admitted in the Israeli Times.
You got a problem with October 7th.
It was friendly fire.
Yeah,
it was mostly friendly fire.
It was.
Yes, it was. Go look at the report.
I did look at the reports.
It says it was friendly fire. What are you talking about?
No, it doesn't. No, it
yes,
doesn't.
It does. Don't lie.
Can you link?
Jason gave her that face again. Like, how dare you fucking bring up this topic?
Don't lie.
He's not. Well, he's not lying. He's okay, Sam. What would you name as your main media source where you get your news from?
I do a variety of sources. Depends on the topic.
As anyone fucking should, by the way. you should not just accept one fucking source. That shows the whole issue with these two in general. Is like they're willing to just take one source at its word. You should try and intake multiple sources that are somewhat reliable. You know what I mean? Like, not every source is going to have bias, is the point I'm trying to make. So you should try and look at things from multiple perspectives. At least try to.
I would say for October 7th, I've looked at Haaretz, which is left-wing. Haaretz, Times of Israel, CNN, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. All of those have generally agreed that the number of casualties is about 1,200, and that most of those were civilians. I think 800 of them were civilians.
Okay,
but I'm
fair
going
enough.
off the top of my head.
The Jerusalem Post.
We got an issue here because all of the media that we're talking about there that you consume is Zionist owned.
You're lying. That's
I mean, we have
either lying.
Jesus fucking Christ! This is getting into
And I'll say this right now. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize when you like this is why people say that anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. I think anti-Zionism in the West can sometimes be disambiguated from anti-Semitism. I think if we talk about the Arab world, I think they're one and the same, different subject. But like when you say, "Oh, it's the Zionists that own these," like
the media specifically,
right?
Like what
like
a dog.
They're saying it's the Jews, right? Like
exactly.
Saying,
no,
like
dude, it's so fucking
a
clear.
Nazi talking point.
Exactly. Yeah. No, they definitely look. They might have not heard that from a fucking Nazi, right? But that idea originated from a fucking Nazi, and they might have switched some words around to make it not sound quite as fucking. It's a dog whistle. That's what it is, and it's not a very good one at that because it's fucking clear what they're trying to say. But yeah, that's an unfortunate thing.
SBNM actually provides what would be the only possible. I'll give him credit here. The only possible objection to my claim, name a conflict that the Israelis started, but the counter argument to that is that that based on the Suez Crisis earlier, Israel had made an ultimatum: hey, if you close the Straits of Tiran, that is going to be a cause for war. And the Egyptians, took out the UN peacekeeping troops, removed them from the Sinai, and then closed the Straits of Tiran. But it is debated. That is an ambiguous case. So I will definitely give you credit.
All right, let's continue.
Ryan, are you getting lied to?
We're having an issue with truth because this is going to be rough because our sources are going to be way different. And I understand that they're coming from a certain standpoint, but we're going to have fundamental disagreements because you know who I am.
Who owns the New York Times?
Well, I'm not going to go down this road. But
what do you mean? You just fucking said it. You basically just said the quiet part out loud earlier, and you're not going to go down the rabbit hole? That's really fucked up.
But you can dig into this, and it's all owned by Zionist interests.
And then he just says it. And then he just fucking says it.
Okay.
But what about Reuters and the Associated Press?
Remember, Sam, here's the problem
those are also
with me.
reporting the same numbers. But then where do we get reliable numbers for? Because I've named 6 different sources that are regarded by most experts as reliable.
Absolutely. And see, for normalness, I would agree with you, but I'm a conspiracy theorist, and you got to remember that.
See, this is the Jerusalem Post. This is one of the biggest Israel.
Don't you wait? So pause. Don't you love that you catch all that he's a conspiracy theorist? Therefore, the validity of his claims don't matter at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good catch. Yeah, exactly. That's a common tactic of people like this, right? It's just a really fucking lazy.
It's just a catch-all. And in response to Esben M., the invasion of southern Lebanon was in response to PLO and Abu Nidal organization attacks that were launched from southern Lebanon. So I would not count that.
You're a conspiracy theorist, so facts don't matter to you. Oh, damn, that's awesome, dude. Man, I wish I could be that.
Can you link the article in the private chat so that I can check it out?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's talking about friendly fire.
Yeah.
I agree. There was, like in any conflict, there's going to be friendly fire, but it is acknowledged, and even Hamas took credit for the number of casualties and the hostages taken. We can't.
You got the link right there, Sam.
It says right here, the IDF has aggressively denied various other leaks about failures related to October 7th. So the complete silence in the face of this latest report was telling. Officially, the IDF...
She's literally just about to read off an entire fucking article verbatim and expect you to deal with it. That's crazy.
Probes on October 7th. I'm going to read this whole article. Will only be disclosed to public in mid-July. On Wednesday, the 12th, reported leaks of some of key findings. The IDF notably did not deny.
The fact that she's like, no, I'm going to read this whole article is fucking the icing on top. No one wants to hear this fucking shit come out of your gaping maw of all places.
The report. They did not deny the report, okay?
There you go.
Although the IDF also did not confirm it, the military has been aggressive in its denials of other leaks about failures related to October 7th. So the complete silence in the face of this latest reporting is telling. According to the report, the probe will find numerous cases of friendly fire errors leading to tragic deaths, groups of IDF soldiers who were too hesitant to confront Hamas invaders, as still others rushed to fight without being formally summoned. Higher up,
Griffin Doggo says, I'm just surprised she can read, barely, but a little bit better than I expected she could.
Commanders ordering some groups of soldiers to remain in reserve second line capacity when they should have headed into the front, and not knowing how to handle complex battlefield questions involving a hostage situation in Be'eri.
Inside job.
So,
Jesus Christ, man. This is getting insane. Shannon can't read, but her lord is sentient and contributes to her knowledge. Jesus fucking Christ.
Telling me that the Jerusalem Post is lying about the friendly fire, huh?
I didn't. So again, my claim is that I go along with where the evidence is. I was already aware that there was some friendly fire. That doesn't account for the majority. Even this article doesn't support that it accounts for the majority of casualties. It doesn't say that anywhere.
Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, there was a big issue. There was,
and also I have a question
about. It
said
mass casualties, sir.
I also have a question about for Jason. Why do you trust the Jerusalem Post in this context, but you don't trust other sources or even the Jerusalem Post in other contexts?
Don't get me wrong, Sam. I'm not saying your numbers are wrong. I'm open to. I'm telling you what I've seen with my eyes. Okay, and what they did.
He was there in person. You were there in person, Jason.
To Rafah, they said Rafah was going to be safe. They bombed the shit out of it. You know why? Because this comes down to a simple thing, Sam. It's a land grab. Did you know that there's Jews buying land in Florida, buying land over there? What they're bombing right now, they're selling it in Florida.
So I would love to see.
This is an Israeli land grab.
This is Rafah right now.
Am I going to be?
How do you feel about Rafah looking like this?
Not even letting you fucking get a word in edgelord wise. That's
yeah, they're just saying ridiculous. Like, and unfortunately, like it's only a shade worse than like kind of like this is the level of brain rot that unfortunately is on social media about this topic.
Well, where do you think they got
in
it
either
from?
direction, right?
No, I get you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot of misinformation out there in general when it comes to this topic. We can't deny that. It's kind of hard to deduce the truth from what's not true at this point. You know what I mean? Especially lately. I mean, I feel like it was easier regarding this topic when I first, started learning about it, which is about a decade ago now, which feels insane to say. But yeah, I don't know. It's been a slow decline of relations.
No, yeah, just get 1 second, honey.
I can't, guys. Like, I'll just leave if this is going to be an issue, but I need to be allowed. It's two people. I think it's fair that as a guest, I'm allowed at least equal speaking time.
Yeah. Well, you've spoken a lot, Sam. Yeah. You're going to continue to.
Like, so what I would say is that when you look into the incursion into Rafah, again, in terms of the number of
you have to go to Florida to buy a condo in Israel. Find a way to explain it to me, Queen Cat Lady, please.
It's actually been relatively low, right? Have you noticed that the number of counted dead has remained, according to all sources, right? The Gaza Health Ministry.
Yeah, looking at the rubble, it's really low, isn't it, sir?
She wasn't even listening to what you were saying. She's just looking at the images and
there's just not even.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. We'll probably watch about 10 more minutes of this, and then I will probably watch the rest of it another time, simply because I do need to actually go take care of my doggos. They're kind of looking at me like they need to go out soon, so I will probably do that.
Same with mine.
Yeah, all right. We'll wrap this shit up soon then.
Yeah.
You just got
relatively low compared to the rest of the incursion.
We disagree on that completely. But go ahead.
Okay, what's your source on that?
Okay, well, I mean, look, I'm
going with Hamas's numbers, right? So I'm going with the Gaza Health Ministry's numbers on this. It's been relatively
that's interesting. Low. I mean, maybe they are lower than we think they are, Shanny.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think the IDF is lying.
Well, it's Hamas's
but I'm not quoting
numbers.
the IDF. I'm not quoting Hamas.
I don't trust Hamas either.
I don't trust Hamas either.
Oh my God. That's fucking crazy.
So, I mean, this is unfortunately what a lot of people do, right? It's what they do, right? Is they just stand behind ambiguity rather than staking out a stance, right? Like if you want to play the game of looking at the number of casualties, then we have to stake out our claims. But if you're going to say that something is excessive casualties, you need to erect a standard, right? And they won't, right? Like, because they don't care, right? And that's the reality.
Well, it's either they don't care or they don't care to inform themselves. So, yeah, it's probably a combination of the two, let's be honest.
But they're directly connected to Israel.
Netanyahu funded Hamas
for October 7th. Didn't you know that?
Yeah.
No, so
that's
you're
true.
Mixing that up. So basically, you're connecting two different claims that are unrelated to this. So, claim number one is that Netanyahu, and this is true. You can look it up in cabinet meetings. That's why I'm not a fan of Netanyahu's policies. Is that he said if you're going to oppose a two-state solution, you should be for empowering Hamas, which is to say driving divide and conquer. Now, that's been taken wildly out of context, but it basically meant he was going to look at it from a benign point of view. Again, not controversial. That's what he said, right?
Right.
And then number two is that he allowed, in light of this, he allowed financial transactions from Qatar, where most of the Hamas leadership prior to October 7th was living, those financial transfers to then go into the coffers of Hamas and the civil organization in Gaza. Again, I can go. I don't understand this idea that there's like four-dimensional chess going on. That Hamas has every incentive to exaggerate the amount of civilian casualties. That's
same with
goal.
Israel.
Fair enough on all of that, but this is clearly an inside job. I hate to say it.
Oh my God, dude!
I literally laid out all of the facts that would disconfirm the idea that this is an inside job.
All right.
Like again, you don't have to believe that Likud's policies are good. I don't think they're good, right? They're really bad policies. But the idea that like they're funding an inside job is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's some fucking cognitive dissonance right there. Jesus Christ. All right, well, my dog's really looking at me like she needs to go out, so I'm not going to neglect her any longer. I will probably cover the rest of this at some point, or I'll make a highlights video of the rest of it. But thank you for joining me, Sam. It was nice to have you to talk about some of it.
Yep. No, super fun. Let me know.
Yeah, all right, man. Yep, you guys, everyone take it easy. Drop a like if you enjoyed the stream. And as always, guys, stay fucking toasty. Have a good one. See ya.